Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Barden here. Today, I'm going to be going over some of the very beginning of our next unit, which will be on just audio, sound files, and playback and recording, and pretty much a lot of things you can do to work with just basic audio files. So, for this few videos, I'm going to be using audio files from the audio little browser here on the side of Macs. This is basically just all the files that Macs can see and has access to on your computer. There's going to be a lot of different ones between devices, so there's a set collection of files that come with Macs. There are a lot of the ones that are used in the help patches and things like that. But you can add other stuff. So if there's files that you're going to use in Macs or pull up frequently in Macs, you can have Macs find them by going up into your options and your file preferences, and then just adding in a new pathway with the plus button to where that file is located, and then you'll be able to pull those in and use them. So definitely super helpful to know and be able to do that. What I've got set up here on the screen is some stuff that'll help me just kind of explain what the main objects we're going to be starting off with are, and how you can play back and control different sound file playbacks. So I'm going to use, like I said, the built-in ones, and I'm going to use some specific ones here. So on the side here, you have a big blue bar, and by clicking and dragging up and down, you can specify if you only want really short sounds or really long ones. Wherever this blue bar is on this timeline, more or less, is what's going to appear here. So if you're pretty sure you have a file and it's not popping up when you search, check to see what length it's highlighted at. So let's see, I like this one, and I like this one, and I like nope, this one. There we are. So what I did first, I'm getting rid of that stuff I mistyped. I'm going to make this object bigger here, and I accidentally overwrote one of them. So when you drag and drop any file from this side window into Macs, it will put the audio file into a playlist object, and that is this one right here. What the playlist object does is it stores and plays back audio files. That's really all it does. It's like you've created a playlist on Spotify or whatever you use to make to listen to music on. Back in the day, it'd be like making a mixtape, and here's this one CD with this playlist on it, or here's this playlist of videos and things like that. So you can arrange these songs, these files, however you want. I'm gonna put this one back. By clicking and dragging, if you just drop it down, it would create a separate playlist object. If you hover over it, if it completely covers up the one block, if I were to let go of my mouse, it would override that file. So it would replace that first one with this second one here. But if I put my mouse right in between or above or below, so you've got this kind of blue line, and I drop it in there, it will insert it. So that's important to know just right there, that you can put multiple sound files into a single playlist object. That becomes really handy when you're when you're running a lot of sound files in your Macs session, or you're just doing other stuff that might be more resource intensive. Just having less individual objects in your Macs patch is generally a good idea, just to help save with processing power. So, quick breakdown of this object. You've got a whole bunch of outlets down here. The first one is the left, followed by the right audio outlet. So, that's how we're going to actually hear what's going on. Over here is the sync output. We'll look at that one in a little bit. Right there, playback notifications is very handy. Then I'm going to look at the help patch to show you all of that. And then content over there. So all of that is very handy, but these first two are going to be the main important ones. The inlets, you've got just the main one up here, the trigger playlist cues. That's that. So if we look under help, I'll pull this up. You've got a whole bunch of stuff happening right here. So I'm just going to kind of break down what these various things are and do. So this one has 6 or 7 files loaded up. And you can see the waveform of each of these files from here. And if we make sure audio is on, press playback. There we go. That was a little loud coming out of my speakers. But we can trigger all of that. We've got the volume going to the signal. Down here, these are the those playlist cues. So you can see basically it's just saying what we're doing, what we were doing it to, and that's pretty much it. So if I come up here to this first one and press play, this is another fun one. I'm just going to turn that down. But you see it says start to, and then the file name. So it's saying, hey, we're starting playing back file 2, which is this file. If I press stop, it says done. So this can be very handy if you want to have other things in your max patch respond and sync up. So maybe, whenever you trigger a sound file to play, you have something else where you could use this message right here in order to trigger that. So it's, whenever you get this particular message, maybe the background changes color to respond to what you're doing, or it triggers some other process to begin, or, it could be really anything, but you can just set it up to respond to that start and done, or if it's a specific file name here, it's very handy. Okay. So I got that, and then I'll play this one again. I'll just turn it down. This other signal right here. It's just, it is a signal, and that is, I don't use that very often, but it's effectively playback information for this file. Again, I don't use it very often, and I don't know if there's a good example here that is using it. Those are all going to the top. Yeah, none of the things here are utilizing this other than just saying, hey, it exists. So I'm going to skip over it because, again, I don't use it pretty much at all. So, like I said, if you're curious about that, I'd recommend checking out the more in-depth reference material. But like I said, I cannot think on my end of a specific thing I used that third outlet for on this object. Okay. So like I mentioned before, you can load in multiple files and trigger them. You can have them loop or not by toggling the loop icon right here. You'll see there's what looks like a whole bunch of dots. You can use that to change the order by clicking and dragging those, and you'll see that again you can have it completely replace, or just wherever that line goes, use that to change the order. So very handy. This yellow bar is important. So you can click and drag and select a portion of the sound file here. And whenever you play it, it will only play what is highlighted by that yellow portion. So you see it's only playing that highlighted part there. So if you have a sound file and you don't want to play the whole thing, you don't have to go in and trim it around and get it to be just what you want in the sound file. You can highlight specific portions and only play that back. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. So there's other things that you can do to interact with the selection portions or audio scrubbing, which is very handy. So if you hold down Shift, you can use that to which is just interesting for scrubbing. Can make some interesting effects. I'm going to come back to this because this is what we're going to mainly be talking about here. But there are a handful of different presets to play around with different things. I'd recommend exploring that, but I'm not going to deep dive into it. But you can also change how things are displayed on here. So if you want it to be different, if you want it to be the bipolar, as they call it, waveforms, or by default it's that one. I won't deep dive into all that, but you can explore how you want it to actually look. Some more of the advanced stuff. That's there that again we're gonna start diving into, but maybe not all at once. Over here, then you can set up what we call dictionaries, which I'm not planning on diving into, but you can control all of that to use data for other things, and then just changing how it looks. So a lot of tabs in this help patch because it can do a lot of different things. Again, we're going to focus on playback and maybe a little bit of advanced, maybe not for today, but definitely in class we'll start diving into some of the more complex stuff. But let's start with playback for right now. So as one quick side note, I have all three of these audio files in a single playlist object, so I can play all of them, but I can only play one at a time. So if I wanted to be playing multiple sound files at the same time, I would need multiple playlist objects, and then I'd have to trigger them all to play their sound files. So even if it's the same file, if I wanted to have 4 instances of that all playing at the same time for whatever reason, maybe they're slightly offset or you can use it for other stuff, I would need different playlist objects. I couldn't tell the same playlist object to play the same multiple files at once. So it's just one at a time. All right, so the way that we can control this and tell it which of these files to play, again, we can click the buttons. That one's probably the most straightforward. If I lock the patch, it is what it is. You click on the one you need, but maybe you want it to happen automatically, or you don't want to have to rely on clicking on it there. We can just send it a number, and again, this number you can enter it in, or this can come from some other object in your max patch, but we can just send it a number right here. So if you have 0 coming from here, it's going to tell this to stop playing. And in fact, if I were to hook up this playback notifications, 0, we get nothing. 1, so I get 1. If I go type in 2, if I lock the patch and type in 2, if I lock the patch, click in the box and then type in 2, and 3, and 0. Notice that 0 mutes immediately. It just sends a done message and everything else stays the same. So again, we just have to send it the number that you want for that order. So again, if I were to change the order of this and put Anton first, Okay, we're gonna put Anton second because it's being annoying. And now if I give it a 1, we still get Deduk, but if I give it a 2, I forgot I went out 2. It's now 2, and that's Anton there. So again, we've got, I feel like I say again so many times, you've got the command, you've got the track number, and then the file that's on that track number. So by changing the order of these, you can change how they're responding, but you don't need to, do that. So like, you could just have them in an order. It's very handy if you want to play through things in a specific order. You could then say, hey, just add 1 to this every time something happens, and it will just play down the line. And that's very handy for automating some playbacks. Let's pretend this was the backing track for everything that I was doing in my patch. It's a very eclectic thing, but every time, let's just say we wanted to, every time one file ended, the next one plays. We're going to say route done here. And what'll happen is every time that there's a done that comes through here, which this always starts with, it will output a bang from this first inlet. And then if we wanted to utilize any of the other data, I'll just put it like this. It's not going to output a bang normally. It would output the word done right here, but I'm going to utilize a bang to do what's next. So if we just say counter, this will count the bangs. And we create a new addition object. And I want to specifically say +1. And then if we were to connect this up here, I think that now this would be set up in order to just automatically play through stuff. We're going to find out. I'm making this on the fly. So whenever this outputs the message done, then it will just set a bang and we'll count that up. We're going to just offset it by 1. So that way when this one ends, the next one should just start automatically. And so yeah, let's just do that. So if I lock this, and I don't have a way to start it, I didn't make that there, so if I just input a 0 manually, okay, so that first just may have been a false start. We'll wait again. Yep, there we go. And there's no number 4. So yeah, that would have been a way. Again, I'd have to tweak how it actually starts, probably just by having a big old start button that is the toggles to here. So if I did something like I don't know. Click to start or whatever, and it could be, hey, trigger this. Also reset this. which one is the reset? Reset. I'm thinking this may avoid issues. I'm getting sidetracked. Fine, I'll just do it like... Come on, give me my... Freaking patch cables. I'll figure it out there, but like I said, I'm getting sidetracked. Basically, you just need a way to reset that counter, which I was thinking could just easily be done by sending that up to there. Can I just do set 0? This one may be what I want. Okay. All right. So now that that's little sidetrack is done, that's a way that you could have your playlist just automatically play through itself. And again, if you had longer sound files, that could be different things. You could set loop to be on or off by sending it different messages. If you were to go into the help, if you see the various attributes you could send, or the messages here, you can send any of these in order to control what's happening there. So it can be definitely very helpful. Again, loop is down here, so you can control that with different parameter messages, like so. I shouldn't have edited anything there, so. So that's one thing you can do. Again, is just play through them, change the order just by changing what number you have. Changes different things. So, for example, if I wanted to be able to control what I was playing, so I've got my 3 audio file, one message per audio file, and then let me make a let me just make this a little tidier to look at. Send playlist. I'll just call it plist. So if instead we just do it this way. One, 2, 3, like so. Now, how I have this set up over here, instead of playing through them automatically, what will happen is that I can trigger each one independently over here. So it's gonna play This is still hooked up, so it would have played through it would have gone down the line from there. But this way we can trigger stuff just as is, independently, however we want to set that up. Okay, that's the remove and the explore. There was one other thing I just wanted to make sure I've got it in the right spot. Remove all sound files. Selection. Where did it go? Because I was pretty sure. We could have it play it backwards. But maybe I'm just going nuts. I'll have to look into that because I'm not sure. I feel like that's a thing we can do, but rather than have you look at me on the screen trying to figure out something that I haven't done before, or at least haven't planned to do before right this second. We'll do that. I know there's definitely ways to play sound files backwards that may be a slightly different object that's doing that, which is probably going to be the one I'm going to show you next. So this one here, this playlist, is great at visually describing what is going on. But there's another object that we can use to play sound files that's a little less graphically intensive. It's just, it plays the sound files and, that's what it is. And that's just SF play tilde. Plays an audio file from disk. So if we click that up here, it's got two inlets, two outlets. The first one is just it's the channel 1 output. If it's a stereo file, we can SF play 2, and then it adds a third one, so channel 1, channel 2. Basically, however many outputs you have here, you just type it and it'll add the appropriate number of outlets. The last one is a bang that goes off whenever it's done playing the audio file. So that's handy. And then up here, messages to find your files, things like that, and then the speed of your file. So I'm going to open up a help right here. So SF play 2. So basically this can play back most forms of audio files. And this basically does a lot of what playlist does, but only with one sound at a time and a lot less there's no graphic element. We're sending it messages to do different things. So as you see here, we start audio. We open up an audio file. So you would need to find on your computer an audio file. Do I have anything? Not really for this on this computer. I don't have a lot right now that I could pull up, but basically you're finding files saved to your computer. You toggle it with loop, not with looping, with a toggle just to play it, yes or no. You can loop with this message, loop 1, loop 0, pause, resume. You can play certain parts of it, all that. You can set up cues and just basically define what the cues are supposed to be, and then you can play, set them up. So that can be very handy for saying, hey, we're going to load up Q1, it's going to play this file, and then number 2, we're going to play that. So if we were to just preload 3, 4, now play Q2, it does it. So here we go. Play all of them.
That you?
So there you go. So you can set up to automatically do things like we did here with playlists. This is the one I mainly use because it's easier just to send a bunch of messages to an object rather than build things each time. You can set up the play bar object to control play. I don't use this a ton, but I'll let you explore this as you want to, but that can be useful right there. But here we have additional features, so we can start and stop. Oh, there's no audio file to start and stop. But here we can set the speed to be at different rates. We can control it with signals as well as just numbers. Time stretching is an option. This is basically just does more stuff. So I like playing around with this one when I have an audio file to use. So again, we can sit around a lot of different ways to manipulate things to play with. You can even go with a little bit of intonation and pitch correction as well. This is something relatively new. I've not explored this at all. The intonation stuff, that seems really cool. But again, yeah, this other one that I'll use here, SF Play. I like to use this mostly when I'm making things, and then if I'm teaching and want a visual explanation, I'll probably use Playlist from there. But you just have to tell it if you send it the message open. Then it'll open up that system dialog box to where you can find a project. I don't think I have any easily accessible audio files. I'd have to go digging through them, but tell you what, let's do this. If we let's do the deduk because that's fun. Reveal and explore. That's located here. All right. So if we do I was gonna say there's a way to copy this address. Copy address, there we go. Now if we open, paste. Okay, that didn't work. If we instead copy address as text, paste, there we go. Deduk, open. It's now opened there. And if I was to load this in and send it a toggle, there you go. We can toggle that, and then we can do all the fun things. So maybe I wanted to play with the speed of it. There was the time. There's more features. Yes, speed $1. So if we just send it a message that says speed $1, that's not a dollar sign. That's a dollar sign. If we were to send it that message, and then I'm just gonna give it a. That's not a dial. If I was to give it a dial value, and let's just say that dial value has let's say we've got a float output, a minimum value of -1, Total number of steps to Okay, it doesn't like it the backwards. I'm not gonna be happy until I can get it to play backwards. That's kind of my unofficial goal here. Okay, we can kid name stuff. Raw global transport. Oh. What if we do it like this? So we can seek by have it play from 300 milliseconds to 600 milliseconds. What if instead we just have it do seek? I don't know how long this file is. Seek. Let's just say 500 milliseconds to the first half second of the file. Really? Okay, it's... Okay, so it won't play it backwards, it looks like, but it will play it from the... Yeah, okay. This is gonna bug me now. Hold that thought. Alright, I'm back. So, I was both a little right and a little wrong. The thing I was thinking can be done can indeed be done. However, it's a slightly different object, so it's happening in play, not SF play. So, SF play is great for loading up sounds and just playing them back. Play can get even a little more granular in terms of what you're doing. So this will be, I wasn't planning on mentioning that one and play and how it worked today, so it'll be just a short breakdown of it and how it works with buffers. So to mention that a buffer is basically an allocation of memory. So if you've ever watched a video and it's kind of stuttering and pausing and it says buffering, that means it's having to get the data, fill up the buffer with the relevant information so it can play that file. So with the buffer tilde object, you can effectively use it to store an audio file. So I loaded in our deduk.aif. Here it is. Audio file right there. And it is in a buffer just called test, because I was testing this to make sure it could actually work. So now, whenever we refer to the buffer test, whatever audio file is in there will get played, and we can edit it and do all kinds of things. So you can load in the sound files and change them and have them go to multiple places just by referring to buffer test. In order to play that back, play is what's used a lot of the time here. So we just have to tell it the name of the buffer and how many output channels, which I didn't do and will do next. But again, it's just the name of the buffer, which in this case, for the default example, doesn't have one file. But if I want to load up in that deduk again, it's now there. We can double click it. That's a different sound, but okay. No, that's the same one. I just looked different. I bet the settings are different on the buffer object, but again, you can toggle it. And go from there. You can start it at a certain spot, so start at a half second and play into the end. You can adjust the various speeds. So it's basically give it a starting position. If you give it two numbers, it's a start and stop position, and that third number is how many milliseconds to get from start to stop. So if I sent our play a message that said start 1,500, now this will play from 0 milliseconds to 1,000 milliseconds, but it'll do it twice as fast. And there you go. So I could, if I want to go 5 times as fast, that's the whole file in 500 milliseconds. So again, if I wanted to play the whole thing at normal speed, I'll just set those last two numbers to be equal to themselves. There you go. So what we should be able to do just now is to then go in and say, okay, 5,000 to 0 should just be backwards. There we go. And you could... Maybe I wanted to speed that up. Maybe make it over 1 second. I don't know. It could be fun and could be interesting. So the last thing I want to show you again is I've kind of showed you generally from less to more flexibility in terms of how you can load up sound files, play them back, do basic interactions with them. Last thing I'll show you is a kind of unrelated object, and that is going to be pack. So pack will let us create a list, so combine multiple elements into different things, and this is going to be a way that we can create different those different parameters and have it respond. So I'll click pack here and we'll just open up that. So right here, this is what I was looking at, the different values tell us what these inputs are. So in this one we've got an integer, a floating point number, and something else. So I'm going to type in different properties here. So I want an anything, and then let's keep them whole numbers. Like so. I'm wondering if that's not a... Start. Okay, I think that'll work, but We're going to find out real quick as I'm again making things on the fly. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so what I have going on right here is a system that would basically let you in real time control the playback start and stop position and speed of whatever's loaded into this buffer, which is very fun. I'm just creating the last few things here, so it'll be trigger, it'll be a integer and a bang. Integer first. Nope. Be a bang and then an integer. There we are. So I'm just setting this up in a very specific way. Like so. So, now what would happen is anytime a number comes into these three boxes, it will set the number first down here and then send a bang to the first inlet, which will trigger the whole thing to output this message, this start, and then a start point, end point, and the speed value right there. And then this load bang, whenever the patch loads, it will automatically output a bang, so it'll set start to begin with, so that'll always be there. So you just don't have to worry about it. So now if you just wanted to send numbers to this, then that could come from anything here. You know, MIDI controllers, sliders on the screen, other data, control signals, whatever you want it to be. But now you could set up the control playback start, playback stop, playback speed. So again, just other ways that you can control that setup there. So hopefully this was useful for you. Just pretty much all of the main ways to utilize playing back sound files. Again, most of the time I'm either just loading in stuff into playlist and it's just kind of playing, you know, I just say, hey, play this one and play that one and play this one. Or I'm going into, I'll use SF Play a handful, but most I use its companion file, SF Record, is what I use a little bit more frequently. And then if I'm doing things where I'm editing and changing the files, I'll use the buffer and play option. But again, it just, what I use depends on what I'm doing and what I'm attempting to achieve. So again, hopefully that was helpful. Showed you a few different ways to interact with these files. Hopefully some interesting effects as well by being able to play some of them backwards. What I'll talk about next time is how you can record different audio stuff into sound files. So whether that be you're recording something with a microphone that's happening in the real world, and using that, you're either saving it as a file or using it in Max, or you're recording stuff that's happening in Max, and again, either saving it as a file to put somewhere else or creating something else in Max with your audio file. It's up to you, but that's what we're going to focus on mainly in the next class. So that's all I've got this time. I'll see y'all next time that I see you. Bye.